In this episode, we're going to be putting a fireplace inside of this container home that we're renovating to turn into an Airbnb. It's heavy. Pop this off. Now this is going to be an electric fireplace, and there wasn't any power on the wall for this fireplace or where we want to put the TV above it. So I had an electrician come in and run some strips. So now we have the power where we want it, so we can get this fireplace plugged in and have a TV above it. So I've cut my pieces for some 2x4 framing that will become the side pieces for this fireplace. Now, I've decided to go 10.5 inches wide for each side. This fireplace only needs about 4 or 5 inches to clear the back, and I don't want this thing sticking out from the wall a whole lot. So I'm going with a minimalist look here. One other note way down here is I did cut 1 inch out of this stud. That's so it can go around the electrical run down there. I'll get this in place and then I'll splice it back together with a scrap piece of 2x4. And I'm just gonna attach everything together with some 3-inch screws. And right here you can see that stud I split. So once I get this where I need it, I'll just put another 2x4 over that and scab it back together. This isn't gonna be really structural, so it should be fine. But overall, got a nice fit. Now I just need to figure out how far apart I want to make these and build the structure that will hold the fireplace and the TV. So after calculating, I figured I want my fireplace to be 92 inches wide. Now I don't want to cut my base plates to 92 inches because this is actually going to fit inside those 2 outer walls we just made. So I need to deduct 7 inches because each 2x4 is actually 3.5 inches thick. That's 7 inches. So I'll cut my material to 85 inches and it should come out just right. I have my front wall framed up. My electric fireplace calls for a 46-inch wide rough opening, so that's what you see here. Now I just need to figure out how far off the ground do I want the fireplace to sit, and I've determined that's going to be 16 inches. So I've cut some extra pieces, put some blocking in here. Create a place for my fireplace to sit. So I'll just screw that together too. Now this is actually the top of the wall, and I'm just trying to frame in a spot where the TV can go. I'll just keep framing this thing out until I got it done. All right, now I need to figure out if I can lift this up and get it in place without breaking the ceiling fan. Those are not attached yet. I wanted to get everything up and square, and then I'll attach everything to the wall. So I don't know, hope I didn't build a ship in a bottle here. Let's see. Oh God, it's heavy. Squeak it a little bit on the ceiling. I think it's gonna go in. All right, so it's fitting really nice. None of this is screwed together yet. I just wanted to do a test fit and make sure everything was gonna work first. But let's go over the anatomy of this wall. Right here is where our fireplace is gonna be. It's, I think, a 50-inch fireplace, and then our TV will go up here. Now, for the TV, I think I'm actually just gonna put the mount directly on the wall because this is only about 8 inches deep, and it'll be one of those telescoping mounts that comes out from the wall. I can hook up the TV and then just press it flat. I'll probably go ahead and paint these black before I put the TV in and everything. And then you'll also notice I added some boards on each side right here. These 3 boards, and those are essentially just nailer strips for the wood slats that are gonna go on here to cover the face of this. So now I'm just going to take some screws and I'm going to screw these 2 pieces together through each edge with a bunch of 3-inch screws. I'll get it where I want it on the wall, and then I will attach it to the wall. Okay, I know this is where my stud is. I went ahead and found my studs and marked them. Now I'm just going to attach this to the wall. I'm going to use some 3-inch screws to just kind of tack it in place, and then I'll probably come back with some like 4-inch structural screws and put 3 or 4 of those on each side, and that should hold everything in place just fine. All right, now I didn't attach it to the floor because I got a floating floor, and I think this is going to be just fine. You know, I might just leave it like this so that I have a jungle. Okay, I went ahead and installed some baseboards down here at the bottom. These are 3.5 inch, just like other baseboards in the house. I went ahead and painted them black. That'll give me a nice level flat surface on the bottom, so when I start attaching this panel to it, it can bump up right against there and I know it's nice and flat. Also went ahead and checked to make sure everything was square and level, and now we're ready to start adding the paneling to this fireplace. Now on the outside of the fireplace, we're going to use this fluted walnut material. I've never used this before. This is a new material for me. Picked it up at Lowe's. I think it was about $20 a sheet, but I really feel like this is going to give the room a nice modern feel. Now to cut this to length, I'm using an 80 tooth blade on my miter saw, and I'm just going very, very slow when I make my cut to make sure that I don't get any chip out. All right, I've decided to start on this corner. What I'm going to do, hold this up here, butt it tight against the ceiling. I'm going to use a block on the edge as a positive stop so that I can bump it up really nice and tight against this corner to make sure that I get a nice good seam in that corner. Take my 18 gauge nailer, just do a couple of nails in each one, and then I've got these nailer strips that I've added down the side, so I don't want to add a bunch of nails to this, just enough to hold it on, and it really shouldn't go anywhere. Now I may have to come back and add trim to this later, but I'm hoping I don't. I hope that I can just get a seamless look all the way across. So in the corners, I'm using a positive stop again up against the piece I just installed. I'll bump it up flush against that, and then I'll get a nice corner look without any trim, I hope. And I'll want to make sure that everything is plumb along the way. And one other thing, this is not a mistake. I've got a gap here. I'm going to end up putting a little piece of trim on this side. It'll be the same black trim, about 1.5 inches, 2 inches, and I'll trim out the edges against the wall. Now each panel has a little groove where it kind of overlaps the other one. These don't lock in place or anything, but they do overlap. I just want to make sure that the next board is pressed up tight against the previous board, and I'll continue nailing these in place with some 18 gauge brad nails. And when I nail these, I'm doing about every other row. All right, I'm coming up to the first board that I'm going to need to cut out for the fireplace. So as you can see, the fireplace needs to go in here. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting my board exactly where I want it. I'm going to take a pencil, and I'm just going to trace where I need to cut out on the back side. Now I'll just make that cut, and then we can install this board. I had something similar going on with where the TV's gonna go. Put my piece up there, I traced around it, slide everything into place, and now I'll just nail it where it needs to go. I wanna make sure that I'm staying tight against that last piece. Now up here at the top, I'll have to cut a shorter piece at the top, a piece in the middle, and a piece at the bottom. And when I do those three, I'm going to use a level to make sure that they're all staying aligned so that when I end up on the other side, I don't have some weird gap. I'll show you what I mean. All right, so here's what I'm talking about. I went ahead and installed my upper piece. Now I need to install the piece that's going to go below it. So I'm going to line up my piece, make sure that it's pressed flat against our previous row. I'm just going to take a level and double check everything is still matching up good, and it is. So I'll go ahead and tack this in place, and we'll just keep moving down the wall. All right, this is the first board that's going to meet up with all the other ones we've cut. I actually haven't even tested this, so let's see how we did. Got solid connection everywhere, and just nail this in place. Keep moving down the wall. Okay, I got to get a couple more boards to finish out that corner, so I went ahead and installed this fireplace. Now this is an electric fireplace. It does have a heater at the top to give off some heat in the winter if you want it. But in the summertime or whenever it's hotter out, if you don't want the heat on, you can still just look at the fire. This is a 50-inch fireplace I got off Amazon for about $180. I'll leave a link down below if you want to pick one up for yourself. So far, seems like it works pretty good. It comes with a remote. You can switch up the flame colors. It's perfect for this application. I decided not to box in the TV. This is just hanging on the wall directly behind that. It saves a little bit of money, and it allows me to access the cavity back there if I ever need to get to anything. And right down there is our secret door. I just secured this with a little bit of Velcro, but if I ever need to, I can just pop this off and get back there to get to all my Wi-Fi stuff. The cable connection's back there, the router and everything is hidden back there. That was the only place in the house to put this, so we were kind of stuck with putting it there. And unless you're really looking for it, it's kind of hard to see. All right, it's all done and it looks great. So the fireplace is working, we got our TV up here, and around the corner is our hidden area for our Wi-Fi. And it just looks great. I couldn't be more happier with the results. If you like this video, make sure you're subscribed down below so you can see more content like this. And as always, thanks for watching.